So we have Flash versus Stork on Gold Rush. Over here in the 9 o'clock position is Flash, and down in the bottom right, spamming really large boxes badly, is Stork. So Stork hasn't really, ever since Stork came back to StarCraft 2, or sorry, to StarCraft Brood War from StarCraft 2, he hasn't really quite looked all that strong. He hasn't been particularly amazing, and he even said it himself that he doesn't have a ton of passion for this game. However, he did play pretty decently during the ASL qualifiers, and so far in the ASL he's done really, really well. We'll determine if he's actually back on fire when we get to the round of 16 next week and see his games then. But overall, Stork, at least in the PvT matchup, has been really, really good. If you guys remember, he knocked out last in the round of 24, which is a pretty big deal. So, as much as Stork may not necessarily be all that good, PvT has always been his strongest matchup. It's something we can continue to probably see him do quite well. So, something to keep in mind on this map. Drops are always very, very, very good. I keep reiterating that because it's very, very important. But drops are all really, really good. And you know who is the king of storm drops? Stork. Stork is absolute king of storm drops, so expect to see a lot of storm drops throughout this game. Flash is mostly just going to be trying to hold on and defend all of his bases. So Flash is going to go ahead and put his barracks down there in the natural, which usually means that the follow-up is going to be some sort of a gasless expansion to come up. Just because that's, particularly when you put it down there, that's usually what you're looking for. Meanwhile, Stork, I'd be surprised to see anything outrageous come out from Stork. Stork almost always has been going for what I like to call the Stork opening in PvT, where you go for a very fast Nexus off of one Dragoon, and normally he doesn't even scout until he actually gets the first Dragoon, but since this is a bit of a non-standard map, it looks like he's playing a little bit safer. And actually still not taking a gas, so there's a possibility that Stork might actually just go for a Zealot Nexus to actually get out. This one probe is going to try to do a little bit of damage to this Marine. Not going to be able to quite kill it off, but does weaken it off a little bit. Allows the first Zealot to go out and do a little bit of damage, cause a little bit of problems for it. Oh, I lied. He went Nexus first. I'm dumb. Alright, worst caster in history. So, Stork did actually go Nexus first, so it was very nicely done from him. Going to be able to get a small lead. That's why he did scout early, just to make sure his opponent wasn't doing any sort of shenanigans. But Flash is actually just going to pull a lot of SCVs with this, try to start getting very, very aggressive. But this one probe has been able to do a significant amount of damage to that SCV. It's going to make this defense a little bit easier. The Zealot will try to get on top of these Marines. Wow, one Marine going down already. That's actually really, really nice. Meanwhile, the probes are going to try to kill off this bunker that's going down. Oh my god, the micro from Stork. Is this real? Is this real? Oh my god, Stork is a god. What the hell? Stork! Oh my gosh. Killing off all the Marines and canceling the bunker. So, very nice play coming out from Stork so far. He's going to try to get on top of this Marine still with this Zealot. This has been beautiful from Stork. Oh my god, is Stork back? Oh my god, that was beautiful. Sorry, if you guys don't already know, Stork is my favorite player on Earth. So when I see Stork play well, I swoon. I literally swoon. Flash can't even believe it. He's like, what the hell? Stork's good at this game? Exactly. That's exactly what's going on. So these couple of Marines and the bunker will be able to hold this off for now until Stork gets a Dragoon, then he can start kind of pounding away at the bunker. But actually Stork is just going to run straight by and try to get into the main. Flash doing a really good job of pulling SCVs on time, but these Zealots are causing quite a bit of a commotion, being able to kill off 2 more Marines while this Dragoon is moving out across the map. And so far this has been a pretty good game coming out from Stork. He's been able to do quite a bit. Oh my gosh, even snipes a Marine. Stork! Oh, Stork is my hero. He's actually just able to hit away at this bunker. I don't know if there are even any Marines to actually get in the bunker right now. Flash just trying to make one, but this has been a really rough game for Flash so far. Again, having a lot of trouble in the early game. Maybe he can come back, maybe not. We'll have to see. One of the problems on PvT is that, or sorry, one of the problems on Gold Rush with PvT is that it becomes more and more difficult to actually keep yourself alive as the Protoss player when the Terran player is pushing into your bases. And that's just because of the way that these bases work. They kind of funnel everything. If you only take backdoor expansions, all of your units just funnel into your natural. So if Terran can get position, at least on the center of the map, it becomes more and more impossible for Protoss to actually get a good angle for attacking into their opponent. So that's something we could definitely see. Stork, I think, realizing that that was a serious problem with this map. We saw that in his first game in the ASL. That sort of same thing happened to him against, I believe it was Mong. But this time he's going to be taking that forward base in the center of the map, which is going to allow him, even though it is technically less, like, quote-unquote safe versus early mech pushes, it's also going to allow him to more comfortably deal with later mech pushes, because he's still going to have a strong presence in the center of the map. He's not going to immediately lose as soon as the Terran gets past a certain point. I mean, he still will, but it'll take longer, right? Because there's a base in the way. So, interesting way of thinking about it. Lots of factors coming down for Flash. He's even getting, I think, a Wraith to actually deal with any potential drop play that might be coming in, and it's kind of almost serendipitous, because that is exactly what we're going to be seeing from Stork. Going to be trying to go for that early drop play with the Reaver. Fortunately, was not able to actually hide that shuttle earlier, and Flash knows about it. So he's going to have that Wraith in position. It's going to be really nice. What we normally see with Protoss players who scout out their opponent's base and see this sort of thing coming out is sometimes they'll go ahead and pull the Reaver, put it with their Dragoons out here in the front. But Stork actually running forward. He wants to snipe off this first tank. That was pretty ballsy coming out from him. And he only loses one of his Dragoons for that. So that was actually really, really well played by him. Going to be able to kite back a little bit more and do some damage. But the shuttle is just going to go down instantly. He's just going to have to drop off the units and take that as a loss. It's a little bit unfortunate. 200 minerals down the drain, and this Reaver kind of trapped out in the center of the map. But luckily he does have a couple Dragoons. He can always run out there and save it, make sure it doesn't die. Should be fine. But it is going to be a little bit annoying for him. He was hoping to do some serious damage with that instead. Dragoons are going to screen away those units, allow him to go ahead and get a little bit more comfortable with that. Stork actually is going to be going into very fast Arbiters, it looks like. Normally we see players, especially in the new PvT, go for this sort of mass unit style with Templar before going into the Stargate tech, which is, I think, actually a really smart way to play it. But especially on this map where you want to make sure that you have maintained that center map control. But it looks like Stork is pretty comfortable with the lead that he accrued early on for going for those fast Arbiters. That's just going to allow him to go ahead and have a fairly strong ground army without sacrificing too much in the process. Good Reaver hit is going to be able to kill off those two Vultures before they get any serious damage done. Those Vultures were just being super, super annoying. And behind that, actually taking a fourth base on this inner area as well. A little bit surprising to see him go for a second inner base, but I guess it makes a lot of sense, because if you can defend these two inner bases and protect the center of the map, then all of the bases behind that are free. Are all really nice. Again, Stork attempting to drop, but doesn't really have units in position to screen for that shuttle, and the shuttle actually getting quite low. Didn't quite go down, but could have been really, really bad for him, potentially. So, meanwhile, a couple of cannons going down at each base just to defend versus any sort of drop shenaniganry that might be coming out from Flash. And Stork is going to be getting those upgrades, starting to get that Arbiter tech up pretty soon as well. Lots of gateways coming down, so this is the gateway flood. Tons and tons of gateway units are going to be coming out very shortly in preparation for Flash's big mid-game mech attack that's going to be coming with all these factories. good drop play coming down over here to the side before these cannons can actually get down. And that's going to require Stork to actually respond to this. He's going to be able to snipe off two before they actually get into the main base. So good defense overall by Stork. He's done a really good job of killing off a lot of these units before they actually get anything done. But Flash is moving out on the map. This is a very early timing attack. Looks like he's going to be going for... Oh, I take that back. He's just going to be taking his third base. He's just going to be taking his third base and slowly turtling up, trying to get that +2/+1 going. Once he gets that +2/+1, it's going to be really hard for Stork to actually stop the flood of units that come out across the map. But he is doing a really, really good job. Look at his supply, though. He's already 40 supply up. 141 to 103, so this is a really good position for Stork. He's got tons and tons of gateways coming out. He's got his arbiters coming out. He even is getting his zealot speed a little bit later in the game because he feels comfortable enough that he can defend with slow zealots early on. He knows Flash isn't going to go for a big early attack, so he's in a fantastic spot right now. The zealots are going to be able to screen enough for his units to make up for the difference that he loses from running around. Lots of cannons coming down at this base. Stork really wants to make sure that he's well prepared for any shenanigans that might be coming through. And meanwhile, this one shuttle just sitting out here alone on the map trying to get some scouting information while his army patrols back and forth. More and more units pouring out of all of these gateways. More gateways coming down. It's actually insane. The gateway count is starting to slowly get out of control, but it is still funneling through that one choke, so he really does need to make a big splash for this first attack, make sure that he completely annihilates his opponent. Look at that macro, it's insane. He's up by 40, almost 60 supply a second ago. He's almost maxed at this point in the game. This is actually so fast to get maxed out as a Protoss player. He's going to be almost maxed by 13 minutes. That's insane. That's actually insane. So, Stork getting ready for the big attack. He's getting in position. He's going to start chipping away at some of these mines. And here comes the big attack. Does he have any stasises to go behind this, or is he just going to be running in YOLO swag style? We'll have to see. Here comes the Arbiter coming in right now, and the shuttle as well. More of these Zealots coming in from the bottom. They're going to be able to crush through this tank line, get quite a lot of damage done, but a lot of the Dragoons have gone down so far, so maybe this not turning out as well as Stork would have hoped, but he is killing off a lot of the tanks, resetting a lot of the tank count. So even if this does fail, this has been a huge resounding success for Stork, who is still able to mine off a couple of bases. Does finally get that stasis off, but it's a little bit too late in the game for that to, or in the fight for that to actually matter too much. Does manage to kill off a couple of SCVs in the process, and that was a huge win for Stork, who is continuing to remax. Going to be taking another base in just a minute as well. He's got even more units just pouring in, flooding in. Flash actually doesn't have any more tanks left. He only has these 2 tanks, and this is actually really, really terrifying right now. I think Stork could actually just win the game as long as he just collects all of his units and reinforces. He'll be able to just completely annihilate his opponent, but instead looks like he just wants to target this base, get as much economic damage done as possible. I'm gonna pull back and then wait for the remax. But oh my gosh, that was a beautiful attack coming out from Stork, getting a lot of damage done, and Flash is really just trying to reestablish his tank count. Even though the supplies look kind of close, it's because a lot of that is in these emergency vultures, not in a lot of tanks, so there aren't really a lot of tanks here to defend like this. Unfortunately, I think that Stork may have gone in a little bit too prematurely before he got extra units up, so he's actually going to lose quite a lot for free. That 1D matrix really paying off in huge dividends right now, but more Dragoons coming in right now, going to try to get on top of all these units. However, I think the tank count might be just high enough to actually hold this off. Stork maybe putting out a little bit too much pressure a little too early, but he does have that 6th base up and going now. He's going to be able to continue to macro while whittling away these unit numbers, and Flash is just hurting right now. If Flash can hold on for long enough to actually establish his bases and get all those mech upgrades up to absolute max, there's still a possibility he can come back into this game, but so far this is Stork's games to lose. Lots of vultures coming up here right now. Going to start going up into this 4th base. A couple of cannons are already there, going to be able to slow that down. So this has been very good for Stork. He's been able to defend all of his bases really, really nicely. And it looks like he might actually go ahead and take that 5 o'clock base down there as well, so going to be going up to 6 bases then. That's going to be absolutely insane. The macro from Stork is out of control right now. He's once again maxed. He's starting to build up that bank as well, so that when he goes for this attack, he can go ahead and annihilate his opponent and retake everything that he needs to. This has been beautiful play so far coming out from Stork. He's going to start building a cannon farm down there in the 5 o'clock position. Once he has that, it's going to be impossible for any of those vultures to do any damage at all. More observers coming out across the map, just trying to make sure that he has full vision of his opponent, make sure that he doesn't lose that to a bunch of missile turrets in this next big upcoming attack. He's going to go ahead and probably start that cannon farm in that next nexus before he goes for the big attack, but he is maxed out now. He's building up that huge bank that he really needs. All he needs to do now is just make sure that he doesn't make any huge mistakes. Right now, it's all about that Arbiter energy, trying to build up enough stasises to just wreck through this army. The EMPs are going to have to be godlike from Flash in order to actually make anything happen. Arbiter's flitting around, maybe looking for a potential recall. The problem is Flash can never move out. If Flash ever moves out, there's definitely going to be a recall into his main. There's nothing that he can really do about it. He's trying to look for this EMP. Going to be able to find it. So very nice, quick reaction times coming out from Flash right there. But this is still really good for Stork, who's been able to go ahead and reestablish a new gateway farm down there, and the bottom left is continuing to build up and mass up units and get that incredible bank. Meanwhile, even more gateways going down in the main. He's got to have up to at least 16 gateways or more in his main right now. And he's just trying to look to push back this army, but actually it looks like he might just go straight in. Lots of zealots right here, but a lot of them run into mines, all of them being funneled into this small choke. However, they are finally being able to get on top of these tanks. Where are the drops? Where are the stasises? Doesn't look like there were any. And trading pure zealots for pure vultures, not bad considering the position that Stork is in. However, it's still not ideal. He's going to be able to pick off a couple of SCVs up here, so that's a bit of a small win for Stork, but he did lose a lot in the process. Can he re-macro up as quickly as his opponent? We'll have to see. Well, this one vulture going to be super annoying, just going to kind of hang out onto the high ground and start hitting probes as they come out. These few Dragoons over here causing a lot of problems. Going to be able to pick off 2 of those tanks pretty nicely. So small wins just all the way across the board for Stork. He's going to be able to take that 5 o'clock base now as well. And as he gets more and more comfortable, he's probably going to be taking the other bases along the right side of the map as well. This has just been a beautiful PvT coming out from Stork, just showing that massive macro and map control will get you everything that you honestly need. Flash is slowly pushing out. Flash did manage to actually take that 4th base up there in the top left-hand corner, as well as the backdoor expansion as well. So he is in macro mode now. He is able to finally catch up with the macro mode of Stork. Stork's going to have to take much better engagements from now on if he actually wants to get anything done. But so far, this has been very nice for him, and he still is getting a lot of units coming out, even going for the recall in the main base. That's what I'm talking about. Every single time that Flash tries to move out, he's going to get recalled in the main base. So lots of damage going to be coming into here and start getting on top of these unit-producing facilities. But the SimCity is actually really, really good for Flash right now. He's going to be able to do a pretty good job of actually holding on to this cost-efficiently. So as much as that recall looked devastating, it wasn't as devastating as it really could have been. Meanwhile, Flash pushing into this top right-hand base. Has he actually found a problem with Stork's defenses? At the same time, he's also pushing down as well, and Stork doesn't have any units in position to deal with it. Looks like Stork might actually be thinking about going for a counterattack. No, I take that back. Looks like he was just getting ready to do a big arc. He's going to come in here right now and kill off the remaining tanks over here in this base as well. Continuing to macro, but Flash is now on top of this macro. He has so much in position now, and that base barely... No, it doesn't survive, so that Nexus is gone. That is painful for our Protoss player, but right now he's going to be trying to get in on top of the remaining tanks that are over here. Flash already evacuated with most of his other tanks, so very nice targeting on those Dragoons. Going to be able to kill off a lot of Dragoons in that fight, and Flash doing a fantastic job coming back into this game. Despite that first attack being almost devastating, almost losing in the game, he's managed to kill off 2 bases of Stork. Stork hasn't really been able to re-macro quite as well as his opponent, and as a result, he's been running into a lot of trouble. We'll see if he gets anything done with this next attack, but it's just pure Dragoons, and you don't want to get pure Dragoons running against tanks. The Zealots are a little bit late to catch up, but good Mind Drag is going to be able to kill off at least one of those tanks. A couple more Zealots coming out, going to get on top of these tanks, but these couple of units are going to be able to buffer for a little while. And it looks like Flash is held once again. Stark really doing everything in his power to continually send out units, make sure that he has enough in position. But we haven't really seen those storm drops come out yet. That's the sort of thing that we know Stork for doing. That's what he's known for, is going for all those crazy storm drops. And so far that has just not been the case so far. Storm drops are really going to make the difference once we get into the later portions of the game. And hopefully we'll be able to shut down some of the economy of Flash. But right now Flash is so comfortable, he's actually taking this other inside base down in the 5 o'clock position and just buffering with a ton of spider mines. This has been really, really beautiful. And there's not a whole lot that can actually be done about it for Stork right now. He's going to try to go ahead and retake some of those bases, re-expand up to the north side of the map. But he's lost a lot of his bank, and now it's Flash who's actually building up the bank. So this has been a difficult game for Stork. He's got to start getting those drops up. He's got to start getting ready to go for the storm play instead of just allowing his opponent to run him over and over. But he hasn't quite been able to do that. The recall didn't work quite as planned. He really needs to look for a better recall position, or at least just get a better engagement out on the southern map. But it might just be too late to actually do that. Good EMP going to go down on top of that Arbiter. Actually, the Arbiter just gets killed off for free, and Stork maybe erroneously going for this attack. All of his units clumped up into a concave. The storms are pretty good on top of all these tanks, but is it going to be good enough? All of the Zealots are gone, and it's just a bunch of Dragoons versus tanks. That's never good, even if the tanks are softened up from those storms. Last storm is going to clean up a couple of tanks, but that was a huge win for Flash right there. Flash going to continue to macro up his mech army. That was a very inefficient trade for Stork. Looks like Stork is slowly starting to fall behind. Flash's late game macro just kicking in, being a little bit too powerful, and now these run-bys are going to be absolutely super annoying. Just having a couple of spider mines in position delays armies for so long and gets free kills. So this has been really beautiful pressure coming out from Flash. Meanwhile, he's behind at home. He's just going to continue to macro his heart out, and there's not a whole lot that Stork can do. He's trying so hard, but these couple of vultures are just going to continue to be really, really annoying and control this part of the map. And at this point, as a Protoss player, you just kind of have to give up and cede control of that area for now. Send a couple of Dragoons up to hold that base for now, but you can't really kill off those vultures until you have a little bit more time. And so far, that's really what is going in Flash's favor. He's been able to secure so much time for himself to rebuild, and Stork just doesn't have the supply to actually match it now. Stork is now down by 30 supply, just started his next macro cycle, so it's going to be a while before he actually gets back into the game. But this is a smart way to do it, going ahead and building a couple of DTs to allow him to go ahead and start picking off some of the SCVs in these far away bases. Wow, these vultures doing actually quite a bit of damage. But Flash, just look at the middle of the map for Flash. It's insane. He has so much vision. He has so much control between this gigantic army and all these spider mines. He's going to siege up now. And this is such a scary attack coming out right now. The EMP is really good, going to be able to pick off a lot of that energy. And even though one of the stasises does come down, it's not going to be enough for Stork right now. He's going to try to recollect and re-engage, but it might just be a little bit too late for him now. Stork is in a lot of trouble. This big mech army pushing in right now, going to be able to kill off this inner base. Flash actually doesn't even care about the outer bases right now. He's mostly just worried about killing off these two inner bases, because he knows as long as he can kill those bases off, keep the center of the map controlled, the game is his. He doesn't need to go for anything too crazy, and the DT's not really paying off for themselves quite yet. Both of these bases going down once again for Stork, and Stork is just floundering to keep his head above water. He doesn't have the units, he doesn't have the control that he would like. And even though the DTs are starting to get into the main base, Flash is somehow on top of that every single time, going to be able to kill off that one DT that's over there. Did force the liftoff up in the top right-hand corner, so that is one small thing for Stork, but in the process, though, he's lost 2 other bases. He's ceded complete map control over to Flash, and Flash is just going to continue to crawl across the map with this big mech army. There's not really a response for Stork right now. He's trying so hard to get everything he can in position, but Flash is actually just going to mass expand now up to these 2 bases up at the 12 and the inner 12, so very beautiful play coming out from Flash, double expanding here to make up for his deficit up in the top left-hand corner. More units just slowly pouring out across the map. It's becoming impossible for Stork to do anything. Again, the DT play is very smart, going to allow him a little bit more time to get back into the game, but this big mech army is starting to push into the natural, and this is what I'm talking about. Flash not even worried. He's not even sieging up. He's actually just A-moving with the tanks, and that is going to be GG for Stork, a 3-3 mech army. Just too strong versus this unupgraded, very weak gateway army. Looks like Stork is going to actually try to retreat to the high ground, so it looks like we're going to have a little bit of fantasy GG timing coming in, but at this point it's already too late. He would have to kill off all the bases with that DT by accident, and it's just not going to happen. So unfortunate for him, but this is probably the beginning of the end. He's going to try to wait for a couple more units to come out. Maybe he can potentially hold on for a little bit longer, but losing that DT over in that base to SCV is not what you want to do. He's got one Arbiter looking for a money recall, but this has to be the recall of the century if he wants to win. It is not. It's going to be over in this space right here. It's going to be able to cut off a couple of units, but it's not going to be the end of the game at all. Meanwhile, Flash pushing up into the production area now of Stork. Stork just really doesn't have any more options left. He's also going to be losing this space over here. Just all of the options are running out for Stork, and he's trying hard to get back into this game, but Flash just has way too much map control at this point. It's just going to be too much. Stork going to try to continue massing up units. Maybe he's hoping to get a money engagement, but it's not going to work. This is definitely not the money engagement you need. Trying to run in here with a bunch of units on top of Spider Mines, not going to work for him. And that is more and more units coming down. He's going to try a storm drop on top of this cliff. Very smart idea. Actually does quite a bit of damage. If he'd done that earlier in the game, definitely could have had a chance. But because he went for all these frontal attacks and didn't get enough damage done, it just wasn't enough. And Flash with the D Matrix at the front. Beautiful stuff right now. And he's going to be able to kill off the remaining forces in the main and be able to start pushing down all of these gateways. The storms are actually really, really good, but it doesn't even matter because Flash is already at max supply. Stork is down to 60. That's the end of the game. GG. Stork doing a really good job in the early game of taking control of the center of the map, but after that, he really didn't transition very well.